This is CBS 12 News at 5.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Liz Quidantes.
I'm Jim Grimes. We begin tonight with breaking news in the Harborside electrocution. Jupiter Police releasing the police report just minutes ago. CBS 12 I-Team Chief Investigator Mike Magnoli joining us in the studio tonight to break down the latest on that report. Mike, what have you learned?
Well, it's a lot of detail, and a lot of it is very upsetting. What this is a summary of the different investigators involved in this case. So a lot of hands on deck here. One of the first things that officers did was go to the surveillance cameras at Harborside Place, trying to see, was this caught on camera? And indeed it was. We can't show you the video, but I can tell you how it's described in this report. It shows 3 kids entering that fountain. Immediately, 2 of them fall face down in the water. Moments later, Dad realizes what's going on. He jumps into the water of the fountain. He goes face down. This report reveals that the water's power to the fountain was actually shut off by a bystander. We know that within minutes here, police and first responders were on the scene. The adults were taken to Jupiter Medical. The kids were taken to St. Mary's, and it's Nathaniel Davenport who died as a result of this accident. Electrocution. You see him right there with his beautiful family. Deeper into the report, we know that officers talked to the waitress who was serving this couple at the restaurant where they were having brunch. She goes to check on them, sees that they're not at the table, hears commotion down at the fountain. She runs to try to assist. She says she touches the water and feels electrical current going through it. A couple of pages further, we know that the police department has been in touch with FP&L and also the company that built the fountain. They put it in place 10 years ago at Harborside Place, but they are not the company that maintains it. That's another company entirely, but they are interviewed as part of this investigation. Really interesting here, Jim and Liz. Apparently back in July, there was a woman that says she was at the fountain with some friends, a group of about 15 people. She says that she put her hand in the fountain and that she felt an electrical current running through it as well. Then a bunch of the folks that she was with touched the water. They said the same thing. So a lot here. We're going to have more coming up during the 6 o'clock hour. This report just coming into the newsroom. This is that electrocution at Harborside Place. Back over to you.
All right, we'll see in just a bit, Mike. More breaking news tonight. A verdict has been reached in the trial of a former Jupiter chiropractor who continued to practice after his license had been suspended over sexual allegations. The jury finding 42-year-old Hamid Kayan guilty on all counts. Kayan's license had been suspended after multiple allegations were filed against him, again, for sexual misconduct. Our Amber Robb was standing outside the courthouse today. She's over at the downtown with the very latest on what all happened. And Amber, what can you tell us?
Well, Jim, this trial has moved very quickly. It started yesterday and then it wrapped up today with closing arguments. And now we have a verdict. The jury has decided that he's guilty on all 5 counts. And earlier today, testimony continued. The prosecution bringing forward former patients who say Hamid Kayan treated them at his chiropractic business after his license was suspended in 2021. The defense bringing forward Kayan's girlfriend as a witness and a former patient who says she was treated by Dr. Toya during that time and not Kayan. Kayan echoing that statement on the stand, saying he never practiced without a license. But the prosecution arguing they presented clear evidence through documents and testimony.
It was pretty simple. He was suspended from practicing chiropractic and he just kept seeing patients. So it was a pretty straightforward case.
He was denied bond and sentencing is set for January 5th. Reporting live in West Palm Beach, I'm Amber Robb, CBS 12 News.
An investigation is underway over in Lake Worth Beach after a 9-year-old girl was killed when a palm tree fell on top of her.
It all happened while she was playing in her own backyard.
Our Victoria DeCardenas has been looking into this. She joins us live from the Smith Farm neighborhood in Lake Worth Beach with what neighbors are talking about.
Neighbors I spoke to say the death of the 9-year-old girl is truly heartbreaking, but it all really was just a freak accident.
A tragedy in the Smith Farm neighborhood just days before Halloween. A 9-year-old girl killed Sunday after a palm tree fell on her. Neighbors did not want to go on camera, but tell CBS 12 News the kids involved in this accident were playing in a backyard on an obstacle course. According to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, the girl's family told detectives that their daughter and several of her friends were playing on an obstacle course strap that was attached between 2 palm trees. One of those trees landed on the girl, but according to fire rescue, 2 others were also injured. The girl was taken to Delray Medical Center, where she was later pronounced dead. The conditions of the other 2 children is not known at this time.
And before we left the scene, we ran into the parents of the girl. They were obviously distraught and heartbroken over the death of their daughter. They were actually on their way to grief counseling with one of their other children who was there that day on the obstacle course. Right now, they're just asking for prayers for their family during this difficult time. They said they will be holding a candlelight vigil for their daughter tomorrow evening. Reporting in Lake Worth, Victoria DeCardenas, CBS 12 News.
Well, the driver who police say is responsible for a hit and run over in Lake Worth Beach now in custody and apparently doesn't have a valid driver's license. Palm Beach County deputies, they say the victim is still in critical condition. 22-year-old Israel Vicente Guzman has been charged now. The crash happening early Sunday morning. Deputies say Guzman was driving a van when he hit a man who had been standing illegally in the roadway. Authorities say Guzman, however, kept driving and left the scene of that crime.
The law license of a Boca Raton man has been revoked. Right now, Brandon Laviner is facing second-degree murder charges in the death of his father. Authorities say Laviner killed his father in the parking garage at his law firm back in July, but that's not the only reason his license has been revoked. According to the Florida Bar, Laviner's law license was suspended after he misappropriated $400,000 from his stepmother's trust fund and forged documents submitted to the bar. School districts on the Treasure Coast are struggling to cope with rising transportation costs. Treasure Coast reporter Dylan Uberman spoke to officials with St. Lucie and Martin County school districts about the challenges they're facing. He's joining us live tonight. Dylan?
Jim and Liz, both districts say they are operating at multi-million-dollar transportation deficits, and they say they simply can't keep doing that. St. Lucie Public Schools struggling with transportation costs.
We've got a real numbers problem with transportation. We spend about $28 million a year on transportation, and the state gives us about $11.5 million.
St. Lucie Superintendent John Prince says their expenses have skyrocketed as people continue to flock to the county. They ordered 50 new buses in 2 years worth $150,000 each to combat the growing population.
We added over 2,500 students just this year to our transportation routes. We shift other dollars out of different funding sources. As we grow, the challenge has exacerbated. So now we have to just rethink some things.
Dr. Prince says the district recently hired a consultant to help them figure out how to lower transportation costs, something he believes they will be able to work through.
We can reduce our transportation costs by really tightening up our zones, because we're busing students all over the district right now. We've got to look at our costs and how we can be more efficient with those dollars. So I see every challenge as an opportunity. It's not a crisis, it's an opportunity.
The Martin County School District dealing with a similar issue, attributing their $3 million transportation deficit to inflation.
The cost of fuel, another thing that our Director of Transportation has mentioned that we're going through is just like the repair, replacing tires, wear and tear on buses. We usually have to buy a few new buses every year or two.
Both districts say that pickups have not been impacted, and they've managed to move money around to stay within their overall budgets.
It's constantly being creative and just keeping your priorities what your priorities are, and student safety and transportation will always be at the top of that list.
Dr. Prince says they need to roll out a plan to address this issue by 2025, when a new high school is expected to open in the Tradition area. In Port St. Lucie, Owen Huberman, CBS 12 News.
The CBS 12 News morning team is hitting the road tomorrow morning, heading to Tradition in Port St. Lucie. CBS 12 News this morning will be live from Bagel Brothers of New York along Tradition Parkway starting at 5 a.m. Our team will be there all morning long tomorrow, so stop by and see us. Enjoy a free cup of coffee and a breakfast treat. Again, that's tomorrow morning. We hope to see you then. Next at 5, the risks edited and filtered pictures pose for young children and teens on social media, and the behaviors that start at home that can lead to unhealthy habits. Local experts explain the signs families should watch for.
And happy Halloween. It looks like the kids are going to be heading out today, and it looks like as they head out, we're going to continue to see pretty nice conditions set up along the Treasure Coast. Palm Beach is looking pretty good. Those temperatures in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Just be careful out there with those speeds. A lot of kids crossing the streets out there. Very comfortable evening. Closer look at your forecast coming up.
Here's a look from our Drone 12 flying over Lion Country Safari. You're watching CBS 12 News, the one to turn to.